to Spiritual Debriefing. We are glad you joined us today. It is I, Daniel Meadows, and to my left...
Hi, Daniel. I'm Jed.
Hey, Jed.
Hey, Daniel. Hey, Jed. How's it going?
How are you, man?
Hello, fellers.
Well, I saw Jen over there going left, right, left.
He was trying to figure out which one was left.
Yep.
Well, I seen the look on your face. You're going to try to mess up with me.
I thought about it, but it's been a long week for me, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Early morning, too, right?
Early mornings. I got back into my routine of getting up at 4:30 and scripture and then working out, lifting weights, and then going to school. So it's just been long. I told my kids today, I said, it's the longest Monday of my life.
I felt good. I slept until 6:30 this morning.
Did you?
Nice.
Yeah.
6:30.
That's good.
Oh.
I realized once I got to school that I left my school laptop at the house.
Nice.
So,
No,
Well, hi, Jed.
Yeah.
so anyways, hi, Jen. Sorry.
And to my left is...
you know, it's Derek.
What up, Derek?
Hey, Derek. How's it going?
I'm tired, too.
Excellent.
I'm tired.
Who's not tired, right?
Oh, yeah. And it's football season.
Yeah.
You good? All right. Straight across from me.
Ray, over here pushing the buttons. How's everybody doing?
What up, Ray?
Hello, Ray.
Doing all right. Feel like I should push a button, but whatever. I'll save it for later. To my left, I've got...
I'm still Randy over here.
Hi, still Randy.
Hi, still Randy.
Still tired.
Mm-hmm.
Still. God, I had it in my head. Now I can't. Subscribe,
Sure.
share. Ray, just go ahead and do
Comment. Don't forget to comment, right? And leave us some bad comments, good comments. We don't care. Just send us something.
Prayer requests.
Yeah, prayer requests are great.
I heard any comment helps us get...
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anything.
Anything you want.
it. See, Ray ain't tired. He's got it all
Leave us-
down.
leave
go
us a
ahead,
message.
Ray. Go ahead, Ray.
shoot us an email if you need at Ray at Spiritual Debriefing. If you got questions, you can reach out and ask us if you want to keep it off the social media sites. Otherwise, find us on Rumble and YouTube and all those places and all that stuff.
There you go.
Sweet.
Mhm.
There you go.
And if you have any prayer requests, we will be more than glad to help you with
That's
that.
right. That's right.
I saw a guy standing by the highway. Did you happen to see him right across from 59 Diner? He had
No.
a big sign out there. Said, "Stop if you need prayer."
No, I didn't see
He
that.
was out there just ready to pray for people.
Awesome.
That
And I
is
was like,
good.
"Oh, that's cool. I
That
like
is good.
Awesome.
You'll get people. You will.
it." Mm-hmm.
You know.
Absolutely.
Yep. You know, it's funny. In Hawaii, they have a big base for the YWAM, right? That's they're Catholic, but I don't remember what youth and I don't remember what it stands for, but they got a school out there, and they actually the YWAM has a cruise ship too that's just for these Christian missionaries. It's young adult youth ministry, something or another. It's teaching kids to be missionaries, right? But
On a cruise ship?
well, yeah, they take them on a cruise over to Africa or something, drop them off, pick them up. I don't know exactly, but
That's the next request next month for the council meeting.
when do we get on this? They send people all over the place, and there's the kids are nice kids, but you'd run into them sometimes at stores and stuff, and some of them would have it right or sort of right. They'd be like, "Oh, could we pray with you? Could we pray for you?" But then you'd also run into those ones. "Oh, can we lay hands on you?" And it was great when one of them said that to Wendy one time.
Settle,
She was
Wendy.
like,
You'll use
"Why?"
these hands here.
It's like, well, because we
Well-
can pass the healing. When he was like, prayer works just fine. You don't need to touch me.
Biblically, it does talk about laying on
It-
of hands.
it does.
That is
It-
biblical.
No, I understand that, but
Yeah.
that's not the way it's used, and that's not what it says in there either. Nowhere does it say in there, go out and lay your hands on people. That's not what it says. So anyway, her response was great. She's like, nope, you don't need to touch me. You don't have to touch me at all. Jesus didn't even need to touch people to heal him, right? He was able to heal people with just words. It's all about the faith.
Yep.
It's all about what
It's
you
all
believe.
about the faith,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
They touched him and were healed.
Yes, exactly. They touched his cloak and were
Yes,
healed,
yes.
right? But again, all you got to go back is to the centurion and the centurion's servant, right? Jesus wasn't in the same town. He was nowhere near the guy, and said, because of your faith, he is healed.
Yep.
Right? So prayer and faith is way more powerful than anything else, right?
See, now you making me feel bad. We're slacking. We didn't even say a prayer before we started.
Yeah, well, we didn't. We didn't. You're right. You're right.
Shame on you, boys.
We'll have to say 2 after the end.
Yeah.
I mean, I said a prayer, right before I came with dinner, so it was close, right?
Yeah.
I prayed for y'all, you guys, for the night.
Pray without ceasing. So
Yeah.
pray all the time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Especially the more tired I am, I do talk to God a lot.
Right.
All right, God, I need like 2 more hours tonight. Just get me going. Keep me going here. Got to finish up a couple more things.
Always something.
There is.
Always.
Yep. It's never done. It's just, okay, that's enough for tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just call it a day.
Yep.
I think we're almost all in that situation now. I don't think any of us have like that, exact 9 to 5 type punch situation where you're like, all right, I finished the checklist.
Yeah. I think it'd be great. I don't know.
It's fun for a while.
Yeah.
And then it gets boring. And then it gets real tough. I can't do those anymore.
Have them days like Daniel. Yeah. Yeah, this Daniel this time.
Wait, in the days of Daniel?
We need a Paul
now he's
here, too.
listening. Now he's listening. See, yeah. No.
Anybody have any friends named Paul?
My brother's named Paul.
My
But
brother-in-law too. It's Paul. He'll be on the podcast with Daniel and Paul.
yeah, Ray's just short for Rehoboam. I'm just kidding. I can't even remember. I know that's a biblical name. I can't remember if he's a good guy or bad guy, though. I can't remember.
I don't remember either.
Yeah, I do remember meeting somebody who said that they'd name one of their children. I think it was Absalom. I'm like, that's not a good name. Why did you pick that one? I guess you could repurpose it, but I'm pretty certain he wasn't a good guy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the worst name I've heard someone get, though. So, Daniel, have you seen some at your school? Some of the interesting names people have given children? Come across any Absides or any, A, B, C, D, E?
No.
I've seen an Abside.
I just hit my elbow on the desk, right on the corner.
The not so funny bone.
The not so funny bone. I was gonna say funny bone, but I couldn't get funny out, so it was like elbow.
I think we found it funny.
Yeah, I'm glad you did.
Yeah.
I'm glad you did.
Don't say the F word. Funny.
We're in church.
Like, I hit,
Can't be
like-
funny.
So I hit like right between the elbow bone and
Technical
whatever.
terms, teacher.
Elbow bone, that's what I call it. And
He's
like
a PE teacher.
Connected to you are.
but I nailed like the corner of the desk on it.
Oh, yeah.
Golly.
Mm-hmm.
That'll wake you up.
Well, no, that really hurt. Like, my hand don't work no more.
Hey, don't cry.
Do we need to go make some
Don't
coffee?
I won't cry.
Don't
I won't
cry.
cry.
Wake this
I
group
got
up.
this.
I don't need this arm. I'm a runner.
But it's my right hand. That's what I write with, so I need it.
Learn how to write with the other one.
Well, I am ambidextrous, so it's okay.
Everybody got A's on their test. That's all I can do with my left hand.
We don't even give A's anymore. It's 1, 2, 3s.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody gets a 1,
Yep, easy.
which shows no learning whatsoever. Sorry, I'm looking up Rehoboam right now
Let me see who that was. Yeah.
from First Kings. He was son of Solomon, 41 years old when he took the throne and was king for 17 years in Jerusalem. Yeah.
Maybe I'll go with that from now on. Yeah, it's Ray. Short for Rehoboam. Be like, what do you know about that?
His reign is notable for the unfortunate decision that led to the division of the United Kingdom of Israel into northern and southern kingdoms.
Bummer.
Don't go short for Rehoboam.
See how that works out for you.
Well, the good thing is most Christians don't read their Bible that well, so they won't know.
or at least not
there's
the
that.
Old Testament.
Yep, at least not the Old Testament. I'll be all right for a while. Man. Well, anybody else have anything exciting happen?
You might be forgiven for that one now.
All right. Well, should we get on to talking about something?
I feel like we have.
Well, all right.
My
We're all done.
hand's still tingling over here.
Right.
Ray, you posed a.
I did. I
Something.
posed a question. It was
Yeah.
something that I've been doing some study on and thinking about and working on, because it was something I still feel that I don't know how to achieve exactly right, and I don't get all the ins and outs of. And that's trying to lead a Christ-centered marriage and a Christ-centered household. And it sounds so simple when you just first say it, but then in practice, to put that into actual practice of what does that mean, and how are you, because your first discipleship is to your home, right? Your first discipleship is to your wife and your children. You are their spiritual leader.
Yep.
And what does that even mean? Because a lot of people look at their pastor as their spiritual leader. Does that mean you have to be the pastor of your family? Which I don't think, not everyone's called to be a pastor. Right? The Bible specifically says that not all are called to pastor or to teach.
You disciple your family.
Right. There's definitely, discipleship is one part of it, and
It's a huge part of it.
I think I'm doing a good chunk of that, but I still don't feel like that's enough, And so, of course, I had looked up some verses, right? And a lot of them, the tricky part, of course, is that you've got various verses in the New Testament that people, I think, take out of, not take out of context, but they try to put it into our current times and worldview, and it makes it tricky, right? Especially where it comes to the wives and husbands, right? Where it constantly says that, wives are to be subject to their husbands, right? And that some people use that as an attack against Christians, because they say that means that, we're patriarchal or we're authoritarian, and women aren't supposed to have any sort of authority or speak or anything like that. But that's not how I see it, right? As to the Lord is what it says, right? They leave that part out. Mm-hmm. Wives, be subject to your husbands as to the Lord, right? As in the same way that they're supposed to be subject to God, that we are all supposed to be subject to God, right? And then the hard part for us, of course, is that the next part of that, which also is left out: husbands, love your wives, just as Christ also loved the church and gave himself up for her, right? And that's in Ephesians. And I think Colossians has the first half. I don't think Colossians has the second half there, but that was where I wanted to start with, right?
The two hardest things to do?
Yeah. Yep. The two absolute hardest things to do.
Yep.
Because I think also we've got our whole society nowadays too does not understand what love means.
Right.
Right. They think love, and they think what they see in Hollywood and movies and stuff like that. They think what I would call probably infatuation and lust and things like that. So
it's fake.
Yeah, because you're not always going to have that same feeling for the person you love.
No.
I mean, anyone who has children knows that, right? I think we've mentioned that before. There are days where you're like, I don't like you. You might not say that to your children, but you think it for sure.
Think it.
Yeah. I love you, but I don't like you right now. Not at all.
That love first starts with your wife, as us being a servant to him.
Mm-hmm. Because that's what Christ said about himself to the church. He did not come to be a conqueror.
Right.
He did not come to be the king. Not in that time. Not at that point. He came to be the servant.
Yep.
He came to sacrifice everything for the church, and all the way up to the point of his life. And that is definitely not something our society teaches or preaches in any way. And I don't know. Again, I don't think I've heard a good sermon on it in church either.
Well, we talk about knowing love, and we've said on the podcast before that when you look at the context of all things that was written, look at what Paul talked about all of Ephesians 5, right? For some reason, when we get onto marriages, we love to get on the last part of Ephesians 5, the wives and husbands.
Yep.
Right.
And we totally skip the first
The whole chapter.
19 verses that talk about walking in love.
Yep.
Right? But we also have to understand, what love is he talking about? If we go back to reading the ancient Hebrew that they wrote in, right? Greek New Testament, the ancient Greek. What love is he talking about? Agape, phileo, eros? Which one?
Right.
Because I think that we, as a culture, we can say we do pretty good at the eros love, because that's the erotic, romance love.
Yep.
Okay? We're good. Like, cool. Okay. Yeah, I love my wife. Okay.
Yep.
But what he's talking about is the agape.
Yep.
Right? And
Love
the
by
fact
choice.
that love by choice, and the fact that God loved us so much that he chose to give up his son.
Yep.
Right? For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. For God agape'd each of us.
Yep.
And so therefore, when it goes to chapter 5 of Ephesians, and it talks about husbands loving the wife as Christ loved the church, what he is saying, what Paul is saying is, husbands, agape your wives, just like Jesus laid down his life for the church. That Jesus loved the church unconditionally, that no matter what was said, done, he still loved the church. He still served the church. So when you talk about loving your wife like Christ loved the church, that means that no matter what we had, no matter how long of a day we had as men, how frustrating of a day we had, that we get home and dishes are still in the sink for some reason, like no matter what the issue is, we still have to be willing to love in the agape type and to serve first and to be willing to put ourselves in front of our wives.
Right.
Or put our wives in front of ourselves, and that if something was to happen, I heard it put this way: do you love your wife so much that if a gun was pulled, you would pull them back and step in front of? And that's what God did.
Right.
Right? God loved us so much that he said, I got you.
Right. Right. I think one of the
Boom,
hardest
there you
parts
go. Church.
I think one of the hardest parts for men to get into it too, especially even with what they say in the Bible, because oh, my wife is supposed to submit to me, right? Because she's supposed to. But if we're supposed to love her as Jesus loved the church, you got to look at Corinthians 13 when it goes, what is love? Everyone knows this, but there's a check section in the middle, right? Where it's love is patient, love is kind, love does not envy or boast, love is not arrogant or rude, but right here, it does not insist on its own way,
Hey,
right?
so
Love does not insist on its own way. How many times have we, I know I've said it, no, this is how we're going to do it because that's what I want to do. That's how we're going to do it, right? That's not the type of love that Jesus had.
Can I go back to that Ephesians 5 with the submit? Because
Yeah.
you brought it up.
Yep.
Look at the way that verse is. Wives, submit to your own husbands as to the Lord. Here's what that says. And this is where it's fixing to probably slap us all in the face. And every Christian man in the face is, wives, submit to us as we submit to the Lord.
Absolutely.
Right? And so if we are not submitting to the Lord, then why in the world do we expect that our wives can submit to us in our leadership? Not submit to us and to do what we say, but it's to submit to the spiritual leadership of the husband of the house.
Right. Us
And if
following God.
And if we can't submit to what God has called us to do, how in the world can we ever think our wives can submit to us? We can't. That's nonsense.
Well, and that's the number one thing that you put on there for your marriage right now is that us men need to put Christ first, right?
Yep.
If we don't have Christ first either in our relationship with Christ, we're not going to have an everlasting love with our wife.
Right. Because
I'll
there's so many people who, and I've even said this before, and I thank Chuck Missler for saying it better, because I would always be like, it's God, then your wife, then your kids, then the church, then you blah, 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 blah. No. It's God. Done. There's nobody else on the list. It's God. If you are submitting to God on that list of one, all the rest will fall into place. There's no way that you could submit to the Lord and truly submit to his will and not have that love that you need to have for your wife, right? And that I get it. I mean, I have the problem with not being arrogant or rude, not being irritable or resentful, right? Those are all right in there, right? Does not rejoice in wrongdoings, right? Whenever I'm right and she's wrong, oh man, that always feels good.
When does that happen?
Well, they never admit it. It does happen. They just never admit that it happened. I never said that. She says that.
So let me piggyback off these real quick before we move on, because you guys already talk about every little piece of this here, and you guys are a lot smarter than I am. So
but
Let
you
me-
have notes.
Let me put this together because I listened to a sermon today. Everything you guys are saying is putting this together. So I'm going to go back further than you guys are, and I'm going to go back to Genesis. Chapter 1, God, gives them, the blessing of Eden and all this, and tells them, according to this sermon in chapter 1 here, says, and God give them, be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it. Basically, rule it together. Gives them almost equal playing field here, but still gives Adam head over the woman, but still Adam's, like we're talking with God,
But also
God,
as
Adam,
one, as he
as
even
one,
says, right?
like
as
we're
one.
talking, yes. So we go further into chapter 3 as Eve, takes the apple. God finds Eve and says, what have you done? Same sense here goes, she goes, same word is, subdue it here, meaning, let me find my notes here. I just moved my finger.
It's all right.
Yeah. And the Lord said to the woman, what have you done? And the woman said, the serpent deceived me and I ate. And then, and the Lord God said to the serpent, because you have done this, you cursed more and all the cattle, and more ever beast of the, and more than ever the beast of the field, on your belly shall you go, and the dust shall you eat of the day of your life, and I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between you and your seed. You shall be bruised on the head, and you shall be bruised of him. True holiness. Make sure I grabbed the right page here. Nope, I went backwards.
It's all right.
There's 5 right there. On the heel. And being of the curse of Satan. But now the woman said, to the woman, he said, here's the penalty going to you. This is for all womankind. The woman, he said, I will greatly multiply your pain in childbirth. If your pain, you shall bring forth children. Yet your desire shall be for your husband, and you shall rule over you. The curse, obviously, that came upon the human race as a result of the fall in Eden, altered significantly and dramatic, originally design of God. So, basically, going to the curse, he was basically saying in the sermon that the man and the woman, due to this curse, are going to basically use the same word as subdue, rule over each other, and basically be in conflict of each other, trying to rule over each other, basically butting heads constantly, and going on saying like the woman's going to be a nagger, the man's going to try to overrule, take the submitting out of context.
Right. That's why some translations even say your desire shall be contrary to your husband. Right. I know
Yes.
the King James version says your desire shall be to thy husband. But again, I think the translation of what they would have said in that time would be like saying your desire is to be the king.
Yep.
Right. You are desiring to take the place.
Yep.
And we see that. That is what society teaches women constantly now, is
Yep.
that they should be the men. They should be doing everything men do. They should be as strong as men. They should be, and I'm not saying women cannot make the decisions and do these things, but funny enough, they're trying to replace men with women and trying to replace women with men. And it's insanity right now.
It is.
And people are like, this is just fine.
Yeah.
So basically, yes, he was going in. So you're basically having the same conflict back then with the curse as you are now, that the women are, like he was saying, you're having the women trying to take over and rule, as the men are taking over and either backing down or trying to be more forceful and all that back and forth. So going to 1 Corinthians, we want to understand that Christ is still the head of every man, and the man is the head of the woman. So with that being said, we need to understand that even with the curse going on, understanding with the sermon here, even with the curse that we were dealt here with in Genesis, with two Christian partners, we still have the curse, but with the Holy Spirit, we can overcome this curse to a point. We're still going to have our flesh, but we can still work things out through Christ and work out a relationship that glorifies God still. Even though there's a curse there, we're still going to have our issues, but through Christ, we can still understand that Christ can still give a marriage that will allow us as men to be able to still be the head of the household, and the women submit to us as we submit to the Lord as well, still in that process.
As long as it's a Christ
Centered.
Yep.
Yes,
Yep.
as
that
like
is
I
the
said,
only way.
only
Yep.
way.
I-
But
yeah.
with that being said, I don't think, well, this is not one of those I know or I don't think. This is not one of those situations. I don't think that men are still, even if we're in a Christian partnership, we're still bold enough or obviously not standing up still today
So
in those relationships.
can I take something with that? Because
for it.
this is something that a lot of Christians overlook. And we talk about, how do you be the spiritual leader? How do you be the man in charge? How do you step up and be bold? Go back to Genesis 3, verse 6. And what does it say? So when the woman saw that the tree was good for food, and that it was a delight to the eyes, and that the tree was to be desired to make one wise, she took of its fruit and ate. And she also gave some to her husband, who was with her.
Yep.
The whole time
The whole time.
that Satan is in communication with Eve to deceive her, there's the husband, the leader, the head, who cowered back and backed down. So this whole
Oh, it started since day one.
Right?
Oh,
How
yeah.
do you be the spiritual leader?
Yeah.
It's been the conversation since the fall. Like, how do you
Right.
step up? I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
and nobody has really got the perfect answer except for let God be at the center. You follow God,
Yep.
and God's leading as a man,
Yep.
and you disciple your family.
And
Again,
That's how you be the leader of your house.
that boldness
Now,
only
do I
will-
have it figured out?
that
Like,
boldness will only come from the Holy Spirit, though.
right.
Again, asking for it, but being filled,
Correct.
like we already discussed, having it as, being saved. But we're still not going to that point of, hey, fill me, Lord, and being
Correct.
bold to do that. But yes, I agree, because we're there with them, but we're not
Right.
making that decision to be bold, to be the head of the household.
Yeah, I mean, you're right, Daniel. It started from day one. I mean,
Yes.
ask your wife what they want for dinner. I don't know. They don't want to make that decision.
What do you want?
Well, they made
as
the
soon as-
wrong one already.
one.
but as soon as you say, it's like, oh, I have pizza. No, I don't want pizza. Some chicken. I don't want chicken.
Yeah.
You know how you get around that?
Yeah.
Guess what I'm making you for dinner tonight?
Right. Guess what I'm making you. Yep.
Yep.
And then you go, that's it right there. Yep, for sure.
Well, and just to touch on something too there, I think, because again, you could, yes, the man was with it, didn't stand up there, but also, I actually just said this today in my morning Bible study, because we were reading this chapter 2, just went back to Genesis, because God told Adam not to eat the fruit of the tree. He did not tell Eve. Eve had not
Correct.
been made yet.
Correct.
So
Yes.
Adam told Eve, and what did Adam do? He added to it.
Correct.
He said, don't even touch it, you'll die.
Don't even touch it.
Which is not what God said.
Right.
Right? Which was, again, that we tend to do that, don't we, as men? We're like, I don't want you to do this thing, or you don't need to, you know what? I'm going to add some extra stuff to it. I'm going to, just to make sure you understand. I'll just maybe make some extra stuff up, make it extra scary. No, this is going to be worse than you even think it's going to be, right? We tend to have a tendency to try to overgo what, all we have to do is stick to God's word. We take it that next step. We take it that one bit farther, just because we try to fall into our own understanding, which of course the Bible says
and that
is
might
folly.
be one of our issues too, is we put our own word into it, man's word, instead of God's word into our family as well.
Does that go with pride?
a lot with pride. Pride hurts family a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That was the first sin.
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, yeah. What did as soon as they ate from that too? What was the first thing? They were they were scared.
Yeah.
They lost all that pride. They're like, oh no, we're naked. We gotta hide.
We got to hide.
Yep. It was that all of a sudden they went from not even knowing that pride was a thing to now it's in us, right? Now we've been ruined in that way too.
That's when Satan fell from heaven, right?
Yep.
Pride.
Yep.
It was because of pride.
Yep. Yep.
And he took a third of the angels with him.
Right.
Because of pride.
That blows my mind still, but that'd be a whole different other podcast. But man, that blows my mind.
Right. But that'll take down a family too.
Mm-hmm.
That'll take down your whole family. Is if you got a man, even if he's
he
a
can
Christian
convince, right? A third of the angels.
man. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's another podcast. Wow, man.
That's another podcast that we can try to
We'll
we
chalk
can
that one
try to figure that out. But there ain't no.
Oh,
That might be a series.
Because that's definitely what we're going over on our Sunday morning at this point is contentment. And that was one of our issues was Adam and Eve in the garden. Is, one of them was, the first ones were content being in the garden.
Mm-hmm.
How did they know to be wanting more and then getting kicked out?
Right.
They,
Right.
they, like you said, you have everything, and
Yeah,
then you're
because
gone.
we don't even know the time span between
right.
Adam and Eve.
Right.
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 Yeah.
There's enough time to name all the animals.
Correct.
Right. So like during that time, that's all Adam knew. Right. And he just knew not to eat from the tree. Right.
That's right.
Don't eat from it. All right. Cool. I'm gonna go name animals now.
Yep.
Hey, you're an elephant, bro. You know what I mean?
Cat.
Yeah.
Dog.
Right.
Platypus.
Yeah. I mean, and it was awesome. Right. It was.
Right.
Yep.
That's what he knew.
And it was good. And
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
But during we don't know that time span.
Yeah.
We have no idea. But
Yep. It's a good point to try to remember because everybody is going to get on your nerves. Everybody is going to do
Yes, sir.
something to hurt you, upset you, disrespect you.
Yep.
Right? I mean, children are good at it. They're great at it. And in most situations, from what I've seen, wives learn those buttons real good too. And we learn each other's buttons, right?
We do.
You know, and you don't even. And I'm not saying you intentionally do it. You don't sit there and intentionally be like, "Oh, I know what's going to get you going. You got me. I know what's going to get you going." It just happens. That's that arrogance that sneaks in there. That's that enviousness. You're like, "Oh, well, you hurt me," or resentfulness. Even I'm going to hurt you back, right? And having that patience, having that kindness. Those are the first two steps. That's why it says it starts with love is patient and kind. You got to start right there. And there's a couple of the one of the Christians I've listened to, a Christian couple who tries to talk about these marital things and just how to actually get that going, right? How do you have a Christ-centered marriage? What does that look like? And one of the biggest things that's almost impossible, I think, for anyone to do is when you do have those moments of where you are getting on each other's nerves, or something's gone wrong, or she does something that upsets you, or you did something that upset her, and she's, tensors start flaring. You need to just take some time. You need to have some patience right then. Not patience with them, but I think patience in general. Be like, you know what? Let's both calm down. And you can't say that, of course, but literally it is, you don't want to have that parting shot and walk away. You just need to say, you know what? We need to talk about this in a little while. Let's come back to this. Because
it takes time.
It does.
And it does, because after all these years, she knows when I'm mad, right? Or what I go and do when I'm mad. If I'm in the shop, or, I'm going to go in the shop. Just leave me alone for a minute. Let me collect my thoughts. I'm not going to say nothing that I regret.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows, right? And then she'll leave me alone. She might go up into her room, or she's on the porch swing. Now I know. I'm going to leave her alone for a minute, right? And when it's biblical too. We don't go to bed angry,
Right.
and I have, right?
I think everyone has.
You know what I mean? Like, it's
some
just,
angers take more than a few minutes to
it
get
does,
over.
and it's not just being in the shop, but a lot of that just takes that time.
Yeah,
It does, and you got to figure out your wife, and she needs to figure you out. But
and being willing to give them patience, give yourself patience, to give, like that, again, that time. Because if you don't, it's almost impossible to follow any of these next things if you don't. To, again, not be arrogant, to not be rude, to not insist on your own way. That's one of my biggest things I just can never get over or fix, is if something is said, it's like, no, but that's not what was said, or that's not what happened, or that's not how that works. And I'm getting better at it, but I just can't let it go. I'm like, no, that's not at all how that's supposed to work. That's, whatever it is. And of course, that then makes it seem like I'm trying to be right. It's like, I don't care that I'm right. It is what is the truth. But with patience, I could just wait. I could just let everything calm down.
That's it, man.
I could just chill. And the other thing too is to understand that if it's not that big of a deal, like, I mean, if we're talking about maybe a biblical issue, maybe then we have to hash it out. But if it was just some silly thing that happened last Tuesday,
who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
Who cares?
I'll
Let her
tell
be
you.
wrong.
Yep, I don't care.
Yep, but it's just that.
If I'm wrong too, whatever. I mean, yeah, you learn from your mistakes, but
Yep.
How do you become good at something? You're doing it more
Practice.
often, right?
Yep.
Practice, and it takes time.
Yep.
Right. Same thing with a marriage.
It's so true.
I'll tell you right now. I mean, we've been very blessed right now. But we hit our 20-year anniversary September 4th. Right. Right now, I think our marriage in the last few years have been way better than the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just that time. Yeah. It's that time. It's that patience. It's that learning and understanding each other.
Mm-hmm.
And they're really important. That's why I say it all the time right now. I mean, during this podcast, is we have to be a Christ-centered family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if that's why most marriages now, I saw some statistics, most of them don't make it past 5 years.
Right.
A majority of them are falling apart in that 5 to 7 year span.
That's what my father-in-law told me. If you make it past 7, you made it.
Yep.
Right, because that's most people say, they call it the 7 year itch or whatever it might be, but I don't think that's it. Actually, I really don't. Because it's not like something just happens at that 7 years. It's without that Christ-centeredness, and we didn't have that either for the first chunk of our marriage. We are now only saved for 4 or 5 years, going on 5 years here, and we're going on our 12th anniversary coming up. So for the first 7, we were not saved, and it almost fell apart at 7. And it wasn't because that 7th year all of a sudden something changed. It was like year 4, 5, 6, 7. It was just this. We were pushing each other apart slowly because we weren't giving each other patience. We weren't giving each other grace. We were making mental lists of the hurts, of the things that were said wrong, and the things that were done wrong, and maybe you
weren't forgiving.
No, not at all. And forgiveness is easy to say and hard to do. So easy to say. Oh, I forgive you. Did you really though?
Right.
Did you really though?
Right.
Because again, we need to forgive like God forgives. We literally need to put from east to west.
Yep.
It's gone. It's gone. And I will say, for my opinion, men are a little better at that, but we still aren't right away, right? I mean, it's just there's the trope that women tend to bring things up that have happened in the past, and to that extent, it's not like, and I'm not saying Wendy does this out of something that is not because I didn't do it again. So, right, you've done this before is usually the conversation, which then I immediately take as she's bringing up, you're supposed to forgive. Well, actually, if it was the same thing that happened again, then there still needs to be a new forgiveness. I need to repent again. I need to apologize for that again. And then we need to repair that cycle. So it's not exactly the same, but there's definitely there's
that's
definitely
not
a difference.
Double jeopardy deal.
Right? No.
Oh, my bad.
Remember, it's 7 times 70, right? Or 70
yeah.
times 7. How many times are you supposed to forgive your brother for
I'll
wrongdoing?
say we're guilty until
77
proven
times
innocent.
7.
Oh,
Right.
no doubt.
Right. It definitely is. It definitely is. And that's, it's true even though it's not supposed to be, right? Because the Bible says it completely differently as well. It's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty. Is a biblical thing, right? You need to have multiple witnesses to actually accuse someone of anything, and they have to not contradict each other and not be related. And there's stipulations about all this stuff that falls into, as we were chatting about before the podcast started, stuff that is built on our society right now, and people don't even realize that. People don't understand that at all, and our marriage has to exemplify that from the inside outward. And I think that's why there's the attack on the marriage too, right? They understand that is the base of society. is the marriage. It's the very first thing God established as binding the man and the woman together. There's one law before that: don't eat of the tree. Right. And then after that, it was, you will bind together. Right. Mm-hmm. This is, you will become one flesh.
But that shows you there too, like you just said, Ray, that innocent prove until you're proven guilty. But nothing's changed under the sun here, because back then they were guilty until you're proven innocent, because they did that to Jesus.
Yep.
So I mean,
Yeah, the worst trial ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
He was guilty no matter what.
Yep.
So I mean, it's still today. I mean, as soon as Derek, as soon as Daniel, as well, we had to change the rules up there. You can't send an inmate to court with stripes on, or he was proven guilty already. We had to put him in civilian clothes. I don't know if y'all changed your laws, but here we had to send him to court in civilians, because they would already say he was guilty if he was already seen in stripes. So that gave a perspective of guilty already. So
right. They've even talked about interviewing people now when they're on juries and things like that. Majority of people say, well, they must have done something. They're here. Right? They've got it completely backwards too. Yep. But again, I'll trace it back all the way to Genesis. That's where that started, right? Genesis 3 verse 11. It was verse 12. The man said, "The woman whom you gave to be with me, she gave me the fruit of the tree, and I ate." Yes. I mean, that was my bad. I didn't teach her correctly, and we screwed up.
Right.
It was immediately blame shift. Yeah. Just no, it was
we
somebody
do that
else.
Now.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
It wasn't me.
Yeah.
It wasn't me. I mean, and I'll even say that too. We still, even jokingly or truthfully, we'll be like, "Well, my wife." Right? That's we will still do it to this day.
Yep.
I'm guilty. I'm sorry.
Mm-hmm. Even when we know we're guilty, we still can't help it. We still can't help it. It's just that's that original sin that's built inside of us. That's why it's a lifelong process of sanctification. We're not all of a sudden just, oh, I'm saved and now I'm a good person, right? That's not how it works. And I really do believe that that's something that I don't know. I know it's not an easy thing to teach, especially because society is exactly the opposite of it. But that shows you're doing it right if they're telling you you're crazy. I mean, why doesn't our church have a women's? We have a women's ministry, but are they talking about how to be wives?
I don't know.
They're just studying the Bible.
I don't know. I'm not in there.
No,
right.
Either.
But we have a men's ministry. Are we talking
sure?
exactly about how to be husbands? Not exactly.
No.
Not really. Right? Why isn't there a group for the 18, 19, 20-year-olds? It's like, okay, listen, we're going to start teaching you how to be husbands, biblical husbands.
Calm
right?
down, Ray.
Calm
down,
Ray.
Ray.
Get another job, Ray.
You know whose job that is?
Randy's?
No. Go look at it. The older men are to teach.
Yep, and the older women are to teach.
The older women are to teach.
No, they are.
Younger.
Yep,
absolutely.
It's our job.
Correct.
And
Correct.
here to teach the younger men how to be godly men and godly husbands.
I'd even more put it on it should be the job of how long you been married? 40 years you're still married? You should be teaching people how to be married. Right? 50 years, you should be teaching people how to be married. It shouldn't be I've been married 10 years, even you at 20. That's great. You know something, but somebody's been married 40 knows twice as much as you.
Yes, they do.
Right? They could teach you a few things. So it's definitely missing. It's definitely something that, and you even search for it online, and 90% of what you find, they're like, it's the 45 minutes of about to tell you all the secrets, and you get to the end, and it's only $29.95 a month or $250, and I'll finally tell you what I've been going on and on about for 45 minutes.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. There should be nothing hidden. This should be just true Christians should just be like, here, this is it. Let's share. Let's talk about it. But there's not enough of it, and when you do find some of it too, some people still just have it straight wrong, right? There are still Christians out there who believe that, like, oh no, my wife should be fully submissive to whatever I say. My way is the highway. Whatever my plan is, whatever I say, she can't contradict me. That's not at all what God set up the wife to be. The wife has
worked for the last 20 years.
Yeah, right. Works great.
What's wrong with you, Ray?
Your wife is supposed to be the one who tells you when you're doing it wrong. Your wife is the one who's supposed to be telling you how you're not following God the right way. She's the one who's supposed to point out your failings, not so to make you feel bad,
Ray,
but to help you.
Ray, calm down.
Just telling you.
No, I agree.
We just have a hard time taking
It's okay.
it.
My wife's not listening.
Yeah.
Well, there again, that's why we're a team, sport team. I mean,
Yeah. One flesh,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Right?
It's-
It is like the other half of your brain. And they do think way different than we do. And we think way different than they do.
well, I'm gonna just correct you there. It's probably the brain, not
Yeah.
the other half. It's just the brain.
The brain. We're the muscles
Yeah,
there, the
yeah,
brain.
yeah. So
Yeah, that's what I tell her all the time. That's why do you think all the pickle jars are super tight? Yeah, put it back in the fridge and put it up
That's
on
what I
the
always
high
say
shelf.
too. I always do that. If I had to do something like that, I'm like, see, you still need me.
yeah,
Yep. Got to keep job security somehow, right?
Yeah.
words of wisdom, buddy. About time.
About time.
Yep.
Well, okay. Real simple. God's got to be the center of it all. I'm going to tell you, you've heard my testimony before. I'm the black sheep nobody wants to talk to around here because I've been married twice. Which I really don't care because I don't think God cares. And I'm going to tell you, I was married 16 years the first time. I fell away from God in that marriage, and that's what caused the problems. When I started seeking back and trying to get back, that's where a whole lot of problems come. It didn't end well, but I was lucky, got back on the right track, and I have found a good woman that we have God as our number one. It's all easy if you keep him right there at number one.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, we still make mistakes, but
Right, because we're men.
yeah.
I think of an older man that I knew from growing up. One of these guys who spoke wisdom into the teenagers to help us to learn how to be godly men, how to be godly husbands. And he said, if you get to a point in your marriage where you start getting kind of rocky, check your relationship with God first.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that just like,
Absolutely.
I was like, oh, that makes sense. Because if my relationship with God is not right, then my relationship with my wife, my friends, kids, like, then they're not right,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And so it's got to be God first. That relationship has got to be going right and going strong.
Yeah.
And that's what I try to tell. That's what I've told the teens over the last years. Anytime we talk about it, and I try to instill in them, hey, make sure that relationship with God is right. Now, are we going to slip up? Of course, Paul did, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even Paul says, things I don't want to do, I do, and the things I want to do, I don't do. Like, that's a daily struggle for us.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
But if I'm,
Did you hear that? Did you hear it? He didn't say. What did Paul say? Good
Y'all get
job.
on
You
to me.
are learning. He listened to the old people.
Thanks. Now I don't remember where
Yeah.
my ADHD got me off track there. Thanks, Randy. But I mean, like, we're not gonna be perfect every day. We're not gonna be perfect every second. We're gonna slip up.
Absolutely.
And the beautiful fact of it is that even when we slip up, God is still standing there to bring us, like, receive us back.
Right. Right. This
And-
actually leads to a great question. Finish up.
And that's where it comes into that relationship with God gets restored. We get back into fellowship with God. And when that happens, then our relationship with others come back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? In a marriage, anytime I do marriage counseling with people, I put, like, the guy's name, the girl's name, and then God. And it makes a triangle. And the closer you grow to God, the closer you grow together.
Mm-hmm.
And so in your relationship, which another thing that I try to tell that I've told teens over the years, which is why I don't agree with dating through high school, is because what's the purpose of dating?
Marriage.
It's a worldly thing.
Right? Marriage. It is.
Dating.
It is. Dating's a worldly thing.
There is no
right?
dating in the Bible.
Right? No, yeah. But it's to find a mate, right? For marriage is what you're working towards. And so if that is the case, then if you're working on that triangle, you should be growing to God. And if you're growing closer to God and they're not, and you're dating, drop them, right? But every day is a step up.
Mm-hmm.
Should be.
Mm-hmm.
Every day for them should be a step up, which means every day should be a step closer, which is why people 20, 30, 40, 50 years of marriage have it figured out more than people that have been married for 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
But it's because they've learned how to grow closer to God together and grow closer together.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
And it all comes back to your relationship as the man with God. How is your relationship? Are you spending time in the Word daily? Great. Then encourage your wife. Ask her, what did she read? Mm-hmm. Are you spending time in prayer daily? Great. Now pray with your wife.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I was going to say too, I mean, imagine what would happen if you were in the middle of a fight with your wife and just stopped and said, hey, I know we're mad at each other right now. Can we just pray about this real quick with God? Just pray for God to help us real quick. And then maybe take a break or something. I bet you that could help a ton of fights. Really just chill out real quick.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, let's just both pause. Do you want to pray together? We could pray separate. Let's just pray for a little bit and then come back to this maybe. But actually, I wanted to throw this question out because then that may even lie into this. Because I think I want to help them. I want to actually provide more than what a lot of these other people do. What do you think some practical steps that could be taken to keep Christ at the center of our married life daily? And Daniel already mentioned some
Keep
great
him at
ones.
the center of your own life.
Well, that's one. But literally, what does that mean? Like reading your Bible. That's one thing, right? That was a great thing I heard from one of these guys. I follow a group now that's called Dad Tired. You can look them up pretty good. I mean, I was going to bring it up earlier.
That's us.
That's us, yeah. Dad Tired. It's a Christian-based dads
I
group.
don't know what that's like.
Yeah, right.
And tired.
And that's what dads should be. If you're leading a Christ-centered dad, father life, you should be dead tired at the end of the day because you are the last one to go to bed. Everybody else should be taken care of, right? Your family, your kids, everybody should be taken care of, and you should be dragging yourself into bed. We should be the first ones up. We should be the first ones to study our Bibles. We shouldn't be like, oh, they're doing Bible study. Let me get mine out real quick too, right? We should be in, and I agree with you on that, Daniel. Bible study, yes, you got to fit it in your day where it fits, but if you make it the first thing, if you show that that's the first thing that's most important to you, before checking sports scores, before going out to do, again, go to the shop and get something done or go run an errand you need to do, take some time and read your Bible, your wife and your kids will see that.
I have to pour myself a cup of coffee because if I don't, then Rehoboam looks like Rubbertussum.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I have
That's
definitely,
not good.
Yep, I know what you mean.
I heard excuses. How's that hard?
I do the same. I do make coffee, but usually what I've started even doing now, because I got to get something, I got to let the dogs out and do all those things right away. Yeah. I'll just put on the Bible podcast right from the jump. The first thing I'll do, because if I don't, I'll get out my phone and I'll start looking at news. I'll start looking at other stuff. I'll get my phone out, pop over to YouTube, continue right on the Bible podcast I'm listening to, and have that just playing while I'm getting stuff ready.
You know what's crazy, though, is my dog knows my routine, and he knows he doesn't get to go out till I'm done with what I do in the morning.
Yeah.
And so he'll just chill.
Yeah. My dogs have brains the size of walnuts, so they don't they don't learn as much. But
that's what happens when your dog's of the retriever family.
Yep.
I'll add to your list right there and say actual communication, not just what you want to say, but listen
to what they say,
and
we have to listen.
Yeah,
that's so boring.
That's part of communication, unfortunately.
Yeah, ask them how their day was.
Oh gosh, I can't remember. I think it might have been from
same day.
It was some cartoon thing I just saw, but there was what was it? There was a bunch of, this lady falls into a gorilla cage, and there's all the big gorillas are coming and like, what should I do? Tell them about your dream last night. Well, I was sitting there having this dream. Also, all the gorillas start backing up and backing away. But so the point is, you should listen to your wife.
Yes, you need to.
You should.
Yeah.
You should. but I get it.
That listening shows that you love.
Yeah.
Right.
Listen to show concern, not listen to try to fix.
Right.
Yes. Oh gosh, that's so hard.
Taylor,
That's so hard.
Taylor told me the other day, she was telling me an issue at the school that she's at now. And so I started like telling her what I would do. And she said, I don't want your admin brain right now. Stop and just listen to me. And I was like, yes, ma'am. But it's hard because we want to fix. We do.
That's what we're used to all day.
Yeah.
That's what we're called to do constantly.
Yeah. Fix.
Right? Fix. I mean, even God said, hey, I want you to take care of this place. Right? Oh, the tree fell over. Fix it. Right? You know, that stream's getting dammed up. Fix it.
I don't think that happened in the garden.
Well, maybe it didn't, but he did. You know, none of these animals got names. Fix it.
there you go.
Then you got to a dog in here. It's just a dog.
Yeah, dog. I guess.
Fish.
Mm-hmm.
That limb fell, dog. Go get it and take it out.
Yep.
You know, another thing that men do, we touch on this quite often, is that we make work a focus.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's real easy to do that.
Yep.
That is something people at the school, they laugh at me because when school's over, my work's done.
Mm-hmm.
I don't take it home. And people have they're like, "Are you gonna grade this weekend?" No. Why not? Because I'm at home with my wife. Like,
well, we've learned that too.
like we did, right?
For first responders.
Yeah. Like I struggled the hardest when I was doing EMS, fire, sheriff's office. Work went home with me constantly.
Yep.
And that was one of the things that when I left all that, I was like, you know what? I just can't do it anymore because it wears you down. And so I don't do anything for schoolwork, teaching wise at all at home, nothing. And if I'm off, like if I'm off for whatever reason, so like I'll be off for my marathons, I don't even check emails those days. Like I'm like, nope, I'm like no school. I don't even want to focus on work.
Yeah.
And that's so hard. I know for pastors that's hard.
Yeah.
Because constant emails, constant text messages, constant phone calls when you're trying to have family time, dinner time, vacation. I remember being on vacation and getting text messages and, you know, and you're like, dude, I'm trying to spend time with my family. Will you stop? Like, you know, but it's true. We take work with us and we make it a priority.
Mm-hmm.
And then we try to figure out where can we put our wife in there.
Yep.
You know,
and that's where we need to set boundaries, and which men aren't great at doing.
And when you work from home, that's even harder to do.
Yep. And I work from home, and I have 8 employees who work for me, and I run a part of a company that is, you know, I'm in charge of what goes on there. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the emails, the texts, they happen all the time. And I've gotten better at it. I wasn't very good at it first. I was terrible at it when I was in Hawaii and running the coffee farm and all that. And it wasn't until after I got saved, and it took me a while, but I finally went to him. I was like, "It cannot continue like this." I was like, "I cannot. You are not more important than my family, right? You are here as a means to them, not the other way around. I am not a means to you." And so, if they don't have a respect for that, then you need to find a new job, because that gets down into we're not even supposed to be unequally yoked. I believe that even means in your job. Right. If you are at a job that will not respect your Christian faith, that will not respect your Christian values of time with God and time with family, then you should find a new job, because you are not equally yoked.
But
right?
You may be in that job as your mission field.
It could be.
I think
could be.
I think the unequally yoked is talking about relationships.
But I mean, if I have a job that's keeping me 70 hours a week and I'm completely neglecting my wife, you cannot be a missionary.
Wait,
I'll just back it up where it says if your house is not in order, you cannot be a missionary.
Let me read my verse that I've been reading like daily this whole week, and it's just great. It is useless for you to work so hard from early morning until late at night, anxiously working for food to eat, for God give rest to his loved ones. And that's Psalms 127 verse 2. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, that right there for me is that I put my faith in God, right? I don't need to work to sunrise till midnight at night
Correct.
to provide for my family, right? Because my faith is in God, right? I work hard. All of us do. We all work hard. We all try to give a good day's work in, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Right.
But I agree with you, Ray, is that when we get to the point where that we're working so much that we neglect our family, and guess what? You know what's going to happen with that? We're going to neglect God.
Right.
Because we're going to have no time for God.
So can I ask this question for you? Is it the work, it's like the job itself that got you to that point? Or is it the fact, and y'all are probably going to get mad here, that you chose to allow it to get to that point?
No, definitely.
Because I had,
Well,
I had a principal that I served
you always
under.
have a choice.
Right. So I had a principal I served under, really great leader, great administrator. And I said, "Why? How are you so good?" And they looked at me and they said, "Because I only work at work." And they chose to make a purpose that work is only from 7 to 3:30, and that was it. And so a lot of times, because I'm guilty of this too, is a lot of times we say, "Oh, we're so worn out because of work." It's not because of the work, it's because we chose to do the work. Right?
Yeah.
It's not, and this is where for me it's hard, because Scripture says to go and make disciples as you are going, which includes your jobs. God has put us in the jobs where we're at for a purpose, and that's to share the gospel. Not to be servants of people, right? And so that means, what that means, and what I've had to realize for myself, is that how the vice president serves at the pleasure of the president, I serve at the pleasure of God. Right? Which means my job is not my life.
Yep.
Which means that it's okay to tell your boss no because you've got other stuff.
Yep.
But you have to do it in a loving way to share Christ too. Our job is our mission field. It's our mission field. It's the same thing I've preached to the kids. The schools you're at, the places you go, that's your mission field to share the gospel. That's why you're there.
Yep.
Right? That's why we're there, is to share the gospel. That is our purpose on earth as believers, is to share the gospel.
Well, part of the gospel is to respect your family. So I get what you're saying.
Which is why you have to say no.
Yep.
Let me add on to yours. I agree with you there too, but let me add on to that as well, because yes, we're in a job and we are on the mission field, right? And God is working on us, right? God is preparing something for us to do. It could be later, right? If you're learning how to work on tractors, and he's saying, I need you here right now, so that in 10 years, you're working over here, and that's going to be useful for you and for his great plan, right?
Yep.
So there's another thing to be added on there. Yes, we're on the mission field, but we have to understand too, we're in certain spots in our lives that God is building onto us, and teaching us skills or teaching us lessons for later down the road or for somebody else, right?
Yep.
But we can't lose focus of what the main purpose of us being there.
Right.
Yep. And that's actually something I've now brought into my job, and luckily my boss is understanding of it, because when I first got the job, one of the things he did say, he's like, "Hey, this is not going to be a 40-hour a week job." I said, "Okay, I hear you." But again, it didn't take long before all of a sudden I was working 55, 60-hour weeks. And so then I came to him and I said, "Listen, I get it. It's not a 40-hour a week job, but this is not. This can't be a 50+ hour a week job either." I was like, "I get it. If we're short people or something's out, I'm gonna have to put in some extra time because I'll make sure the company's covered." It's like, but I'm gonna make sure that this shouldn't be, it's not gonna be less than 40. But I now make sure, and I get paid salary, but I'm like, I'm gonna start punching in and out I'm going to start tracking my time, because when I get called in on a Saturday because something's wrong and I got to spend 2 hours working on it, guess what? That's going to count for my hours for the week. If I got to work on a Sunday for a bit, if I got to work late into an evening one day, if I got to work a 12-hour day one day, great. I'm going to take maybe a 6-hour day another, right? And he gets it now. He's totally fine with that now. And I mean, I work more than 40 every single week, but there's some weeks where I only work 43, 44, right? And yeah, there's a couple weeks where I still got to work 50 because there's a lot to do. But I've set some boundaries, and I have said that, listen, I know there's more to do. There's always more to do. I'm never going to be able to get it all done.
No.
Especially because now I'm, helping 10 different people. But it's yeah, I at least have said this is because family time is more important than this job.
Yep.
Well,
And
for the
he gets it.
last 10 years, I've done kind of what you've done, Ray. Of course, I'm my own boss, but
Right. You'll abuse yourself worse if you're your own boss.
She gets off work. I'm trying to end my day. It might not be the end of my day, but when she gets home, I try to be home. I might have dinner cooked, or we might cook dinner together, and we'll spend some time, and then I might have to go finish something. Or most of my work a lot of times is on the weekends, so she's off, but she's got other things to do. But we really make time for each other.
It's very important to
Yeah.
do. It's very important to, because at the coffee farm, I thought I was building something. I thought I was, we constantly were planning. Oh, there's 8 to 16 acres, and we're going to get that, and I'm going to have that. And I was, I thought this was all things. No, this is for our future. I'm doing this all for you. She don't want none of that. Don't care.
Yep.
What's the point of building all that if it took me 10 years and she's gone by the time I get it? It would be nothing.
I've done the same thing with the kids whenever they were around. That it was kid time. Just shut everything off.
Yep.
But yeah, Daniel, you're right. It is a choice. And you can't say no.
And that's something in which you've even said several times, let your yeses be yes and your noes be noes.
Oh, yeah.
And that's something like I'm trying to help my father-in-law see, because drop of the hat, he's neglected the family, and we're all sitting there going, dude, life is moving around you and you don't realize it.
Yep. Oh, I know it made somebody mad when I said no to something this weekend.
But you did it in such a graceful way.
Yep.
Let me just tell you, that was yeah.
But I know I can't get it done. Like,
Yeah.
I can't get it done.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's where we need to understand as men as well, because we are a lot of us are very helpful people, right? And we want to help a lot of people. But we have to get to the point in our lives and know that I can't help you.
There's only one of us.
There's only one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then when everything else just piles, that is when the stress is on. It's not the stress of the work. It's a stress of getting everything done.
Yep.
That's it. It's not the work itself. It's getting everything done. What? I see you, Randy.
Trust your team.
Yep.
Is that what I heard?
Well, yeah, if you have a team together, trust your team.
Yep.
Yep.
That is part of it. That definitely is.
That is a lot of it.
And I'll probably get some people upset if they're listening with this too, but I am shocked at how many of the retired people are not helping out more. Right? Just shocked. I like.
Well, some of them are.
I get it though. I'm just as busy. Well,
No. Some of them are hurt too.
Well, there's that, but there's other ways you can help out.
Yes.
There are.
Yeah.
They don't all require physical labor. I mean, we're good at lifting stuff, right? I mean, as to the position, what you were talking about, they didn't have to lift anything. They didn't have to hammer a single nail. Right. They're just looking for someone to just be like, okay, nope, you got to wait. You're not ready till X person does their thing.
Yep.
Right? That person could practically be an invalid. You don't need to be able to move at all to do that.
Right.
You just need to have a brain. That's all you need. And it
I'm
does.
out.
Yeah. That's why we didn't ask you, Randy. That's why we didn't ask you.
And here's a list, right? And let's go in this order. Right?
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Right.
And people that, I agree with you on that one too. I get frustrated with that.
I might have to make a decision. You might have to call me. You might have to do this. That's the mentality.
It is.
Right. And there are some retired people who are working their butts off. Don't get me wrong. There are some of our elders. I see them. They move. They're here all the time, doing stuff all the time. And then there's some who are they're prayer warriors. That's their best thing they could offer to us because they are hurt or injured or things they can't just do in that sense. I'm not saying all of them, but again, just looking around at, who's doing what and what they're doing and where they think, I do all these things. And it's like, I don't see you at any of the things. I don't know what you're talking about.
Right.
I don't see you at any of the things.
I see the same faces.
Yeah, we see the same people at every single, and I love you guys. I love seeing you at everything. I look forward to seeing you guys at those things. It's not the same if we're not all there. But at the same time, I'm just shocked at how many people aren't there that I would expect to be there.
Yep.
And
We're
I know
probably going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, we a little bit. We're getting off target here. We're getting off target.
What's your other question?
I got more questions. Let's see here. I wrote a couple.
I always got questions about marriage. I'll tell you.
Yeah. Right. Oh, okay. Let's see here.
Compromise. That's a number. That's another one.
Compromise. Yeah.
Compromise.
Yep. That was actually again.
That's a hard one.
Where did that topic go? I had it.
Just don't compromise with the apple.
Right.
No, just,
Right.
Well, yeah, you can't compromise with the truth.
I was about to say, compromise
To an extent.
to an extent.
Yep. To an extent.
To an extent. Yeah.
Like if she wants Chinese food, I'll compromise.
Fine.
Well, Randy, when you eat only 3 food groups, it's very hard.
Yes. Right.
I guess I got sweet and sour chicken and a bowl of ketchup.
Yeah, see?
and what's those biscuits? Sugar biscuits. Oh yeah.
Well,
I guess we'll be all right.
You've got Proverbs, right? Proverbs 18:22. He who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor from the Lord.
Yep.
A constant reminder that we have to give to ourselves is that our wife is a gift from God.
It is a gift.
It is the whole marriage is a gift and a blessing from God.
Yep.
We don't deserve it. We didn't do anything to really earn it. We might think we do.
No.
We totally think we did, but we didn't.
No.
Sounds like that grace he gives us, huh?
Right. And that is one of the things that I try to remind myself constantly. And because in the moment when you're not feeling it, right? That's the hardest point is you have to love your wife even when you don't want to. Right? You have to love your wife no matter how much you don't want to.
Yep.
That's again, sin just creeps in so fast at those points, right? When we're tired, especially when we're tired. Oh man,
I'm grumpy, man.
Oh yeah, it's hard not to be,
grumpy.
especially if we're tired and hungry at the same time. Oh, it gets ugly, right?
If they're hungry.
Yeah.
You better watch out.
Just give him a Snickers.
Right. There's a video I've seen that this lady is just going off on this guy. They're sitting in the car and she is just talking about he's worthless and this and that. And she's like, pull this car over. I'm getting out and I'm out of here. And he just finally turns to her and says, what is it? What do you want? You want some Turkish Delight? She's like, what? He's like, yeah, you want to go get some Turkish Delight? She says, well, yeah, I want some Turkish Delight. I don't know what she's talking about. And she's, you want large fry with that too? Yeah, large fry sounds good. Like he just immediately was just like, "What? You just need some food? You need some food? You want some fries too?"
Yeah, they're like that.
Yep. But so we're not too different. I definitely know we're not too different. We're just better at ignoring that part and not realizing it.
Yep.
And especially again, that tiredness is what gets me all the time. I'm real short when I'm tired,
Mm-hmm.
and I think I'm tired all the time lately. So it's been real hard.
Yep.
But just remembering that again, your whole family is a blessing. Everything in your life
Your
that is
kids.
given to you. Yeah.
Your wife. Yep.
Without wives, we'd still be sitting on a rock by the stream. We'd be like, well, we named all the animals. We're good. Like, I don't know if we would have gone anywhere else, man. We may be fishing in the stream,
Right.
But we wouldn't be doing anything else. I don't think AC would ever been invented. I don't think
That's
we
why I
ever
go on
would've-
my hunting trips, right? I mean,
Yep.
It'd still be a plan. God had a plan.
God had a
No,
plan.
yeah.
He gave. That's why he gave us women, because he was like, well, I can see nothing's gonna get done. I do also like the joke that they say. Notice after God invented women, there was no more resting.
man, my honeydew list is like in pages now.
Oh yeah, for
Pages.
sure.
One done, 20 more on.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Man, and then you gotta remember to write it down. I can't remember any of the stuff. I don't understand what it is. I'll remember all kinds of stuff I hear or I read, But if my wife tells me to do it, it is like I just
Oh,
cannot
you mean
remember
you
it.
don't remember what I told you 5 weeks ago?
Oh, I love it. That's how they get it too. You don't remember? I told you this. Okay.
No, I don't remember. You might have,
All right.
but I was probably doing something
you-
at the time.
Yeah.
You
it's
remember
always-
the score from the game last week, but you can't remember this. It's
Yeah.
like, well, I don't know why that is. I didn't choose to do that. It wasn't like I said, almost
Because
forget
when
this.
I was watching the game, I wasn't working. When you told me to do something else, I was doing something at the time.
Yeah, right. No, there's 90% of that too. That I swear that's when they
That's-
love to tell you something. You're in the middle of like balancing
It
3
is.
things at once. Oh, hey,
Yeah.
don't forget, you need to do this.
Yeah.
Why now? Why did you say that now?
Right.
I want to invent an app. This could be a $1 billion industry. An app that you just program in whatever it is, because your wife says it the same way all the time, right? It's, hey, could you? Or hey, don't forget to. So you program in what she says, and as soon as it detects she says that, it just makes a quick note of whatever it was said.
That'd be awesome.
What Taylor says is, "Hey, we need to."
Yeah, there you go. So you
Hey, we
program.
need to.
You'd program into your
That's,
app.
I like how you said we, but it's me.
Yeah,
That's exactly it.
Is that the royal we, or what are we talking about here?
Just turn the
Like,
W
take the
upside
W
down.
and flip it upside down.
Yep. But yeah, we need that help. That's a spot AI could help us out. At the end of the day, be like, here's all the things your wife told you to do today. I've put them in a list for you.
Awesome. Thank you.
I'm like, thank you so much.
I was trying to forget
Thanks.
about
Yep. Remind me about that tomorrow morning before she gets up.
it. Right.
Put that in the file 13, please.
That's right. Yep.
And then, hey, Google, check my calendar. Am I available to do that?
Yeah, exactly right. Do I got space? Can you schedule all this stuff for me?
Yeah, that's what I tell her all the time. I'll pencil you in.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Problem is, she is my calendar.
Mine too.
Yeah.
We talked about that yesterday, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. Yep. So yeah. She has. I have my own, and she has hers, and hers is shared onto my calendar too. So I see when she puts stuff up, and then see, I was smart. I took and also made sure that that work they can't see what it is, but anytime she schedules something, even at work, it shows up as a big red block that I'm busy. So like people can't schedule meetings with me or can't schedule other stuff with me whenever she schedules something too. So that saved me a whole bunch of headache. I'm telling you, Randy, you can love Google Calendar if you get set up right on it.
I'm going to do that to my boss, Judd.
Are you?
Yeah.
Like, here's my calendar, just so you know.
I don't think he looks at the calendar very much.
No, he does not.
You need something, you just schedule it on there.
Yeah.
Yep, I got them on that. But that's one of the joys of working remote, I guess, is because they, they're like, oh yeah, I'll help you. Just schedule it, put it on there.
My wife does the same thing.
Yep. You got to have that calendar. Otherwise, they'll be like, oh, we booked a meeting. It's at 6:30 Pacific. No, that's 8:30 here. Not happening. Not happening.
Yep.
Won't do it. All right, let's see what else I got. I had one on here that I couldn't find, but I know that it's the importance of being able to have open and honest discussions with each other.
That's hard.
That is insanely hard because that is something that I was not raised in a Christian family. I was actually raised in a family that is mostly kind of from Scandinavian or Norwegian or the whole Scandinavian's the right word I'm looking for because not the whole area up there. Where the whole joke about that whole thing is, they don't even look each other in the eye.
Right.
You don't make eye contact with your wife. Oh, sorry, looked at you. Sorry about that. It just you don't talk about those things.
No.
You don't talk about what's bothering you. You don't talk about what they did that's bothering you.
No, silence is the key to a long marriage.
Right. That's what they think. That's what they think. If you can hold that, maybe. Right. But we ain't talked in 40 years. It's been wonderful.
Yeah, it's awesome.
I'm good at the listening part, but I'm not good at the talking part.
I do pretty good at just sitting there.
Yep. I'm getting better at listening. I'm definitely getting better at listening, but my ADD keeps giving me trouble with there because I just want to jump in like a rabbit. I'm like, oh, I got something. Oh, I know something about this. I need help. But yeah, having those, being able to honestly go to each other and say, hey, I'm not a fan of that, right? Or I didn't think that was good, right? I don't think that was what we should be doing or should be saying, but not in front of other people, not calling them out in the group.
No.
But taken aside.
Yep.
And also
So-
wait until
so
you're
I-
not angry anymore.
I can't do that from the pulpit.
Yeah, right. You know what my
I'm
wife
not-
said the other
well,
day?
I'm not naming any names, but
But
You know what this lady said to me once?
yeah.
I've been told once.
Yep.
Yeah, like she knows when something's bothering me,
Yeah.
and she asks me, and I'm like, nothing, right?
Yep.
It gives a couple days, and then I go, okay, this is what's bothering me. Yeah, see, I knew something was bothering you.
It's that right there.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
Well, now that's bothering me. Thanks.
Right.
add that to the list.
Yep.
Yeah, but
I'll
I mean,
tell you in
I
2
think
days though.
I think that's great because I think she gets understanding where we're coming from.
Yeah.
And that's what they want.
Right? They want to understand like why are you feeling this way or why are you
Right.
doing this?
They want to be understood,
Mm-hmm.
and we want to be respected.
Yep.
We don't care to be understood because I don't think we even understand ourselves
No.
most of the time.
No, we don't.
But all we want to just be is just we literally just want to be, hey, good job,
Yep.
man. That does so much for you. Just hey, good job,
Mm-hmm.
proud of you.
Right.
That's all we need, sadly, and that's not what they want or need. You can't be like,
Right.
hey, that dinner was awesome, good job.
Yeah.
It doesn't quite land the same
Yeah.
for some reason, right?
You're like you got it tonight.
It's like okay,
Yeah. Okay.
yep. Well, God forbid you put hot sauce on it.
I think that's important, Ray. I'm glad you brought that up.
Yep. It's so tricky. I don't got that figured out.
I don't either.
I don't. That's an area where I wish there was some classes I could go to help me with that, because it seems so.
Well,
It literally is foreign.
we're so used to holding everything in because we're men and we're gonna fix it, right? Well, we're gonna control it.
Yep. Because we have to. We have to be meek. We have to have
have
that
to.
rage, but have it fully under control.
Yep.
But you do need to be able to then let it out in the right way around your wife.
Yep.
And model that for your children. It's an
Yeah.
amazing thing. If I can learn how to model that for Harmony, because you know that that's what they're going to end up. That's what they're going to look for. That's what they're going to find. Whatever you do to each other, they will, for good or ill, they will see that as what a relationship is.
Yeah.
And it's the patterns repeat. It is not. That is something you can see over and over and over again. The patterns repeat.
Yep. Here is what I teach Wyatt now. It's my turn, per se, to raise him, right?
Yeah.
Because we're raising a man now.
Yep.
And I've said it before that I overtook, and I told Crystal, your job's done. And what he struggles with, and most of us men struggle with, is making the decision
Yeah.
and keeping with that decision,
Yeah.
right? And I tell him that because he's so afraid to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
And we all are. We all are afraid to make the wrong decision.
Yeah.
But I've told him, and I've showed him, and I've done it. You know, I keep doing that. I make decisions. I'm going to live with that decision. And then I tell White, this is why I chose this decision. And so we're trying to have him make more decisions as a man, right? Because that's what we do on a constant basis. We have 55 million problems a day, 55 million decisions to make, right? And they don't understand that. The women don't. When we get home and go, well, did you decide on this? Okay, yes, give me a minute, because I had to decide on all this other stuff during the day. And with Wyatt, and it starts real slowly, right? What do you want to eat for dinner? Well, I don't know. I don't care. No, you need to make a decision. And we're going to live with that decision right now. I'm like, what do you really want right now? Well, I like Subway. Why? Well, I wanted to get this and that. Okay, let's do it. Let's go. I'm going to go with your decision. And so slowly it starts with that. And then once it goes bigger, and then we make bigger decisions. And then we just build off of that. So that's what I've been doing with Wyatt lately.
Yeah.
Is as a man, we have to make a decision and live with it. So
Yep. And man, I don't think that can start early enough.
No,
right?
no, and and it teaches me too that, you know, hey, I got to make a decision too, because I hate it every night. I mean, not every night, but you know, a lot of nights where we're busy and we don't have time to make dinner. That's the common question in probably every household.
That's the hardest decision.
It is.
To make.
What do you want to eat? What do you want to eat? So I think it was Friday or Saturday night. Saturday night we went out. And they couldn't make a decision, Wyatt or Crystal. They could not. So I'm like, you know what? We're going to Golden Corral because it's right here.
There you go.
Why? Because you guys can't make a decision. You can get whatever you want.
Everything is
and
here.
I'm going to live with that decision.
Yep.
So, but I mean,
Everything
it's
is here.
probably not the best food, but
Still.
It's just one of those things, and it's like you have to make a decision.
Yep.
And I think sometimes we're afraid of failure.
Right.
We're afraid of failing.
Yeah.
We are. And I think that goes back to communication with your wife. Because if we make a decision and something's bothering us and she's trying to get it from you, I don't want to look like a failure.
Right.
Right? So I don't want to communicate that to my wife because now you're going to look at me like a failure.
Yep.
But now, if you go to her and go, well, this is what's bothering me. This is the decision that I made. And it's really, I'm struggling with this. Right? And she's understanding a lot of times. Right? So that is the key, I think, with that communication with your wife.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel. I mean, I feel like that sometimes I'm a failure, or I failed at this, or I didn't do this right. And I think we all live with that. And that's why I think that communication stops.
Right.
Because I don't want to look like that in front of my wife.
Right.
Because I'm supposed to be the man, right? I'm supposed to be the head of the household. I don't make mistakes, but we do all the time.
Right. But if you have, and if you can build that relationship correctly, hopefully she's able to accept that. And not necessarily be like, oh, it's okay, right? You screwed up, whatever. And there should be hopefully some guidance in there.
There'll be guidance.
So what'd you learn from that?
Yes.
And I don't understand why it does. It just bothers us so much. But how hard is it? Just be like, so you want Chinese? You want Italian? You want Mexican? You want? And even if they say no to all of it, I get it.
It's hard because you never know.
Yep.
Here's my opinion.
And by the third question, they're getting angry.
But this is my opinion. This is how I feel now. Is that our generation is so spoiled.
Oh yeah.
That we can eat anything or everything we want.
Right.
At a drop of a hat.
Right.
And so now that we've ate Subway, McDonald's, we've eaten all these places,
everything.
And nothing's now exciting no more. Like, okay, well, I guess that's what we're gonna eat. We're like in Grab It, we got 3 places to eat, and I don't want to drive all the way to Bentonville, but so yes, it's far,
right?
But I think that's where it's at right now. I think that's the society that we live in now.
I agree to that.
Because
I agree to that.
Back when we were kids, how excited were we to get a soda pop? I mean, I got a soda.
Right.
Like, can you believe that?
I was given 75 cents today for a can of Coke.
Right? That's how excited we were back then.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, it's at disposal.
And imagine back in biblical times. What are we having for dinner? Well, goat, because we slaughtered the goat 2 days ago, and we got to eat that goat.
Right.
Like, you don't. We're not choosing chicken until the goat's gone.
Yeah.
I never even thought about that, Derek. That is pretty accurate. Everything is at our fingertips now, because now you can just get anything delivered.
Right.
And so then you're like, well, I've had it all, so now what?
Now
what do we do?
Now what?
But man, I remember growing up, like, you looked forward to certain meals.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like, I remember
Italian dunkers or whatever they call them at your school.
Dad made chicken parmesan.
Yeah.
And I looked forward to chicken parmesan.
Yeah.
At least once a month we had it. I was like, yes.
My mom would make the homemade Italian dunker. I don't know again what they might have called them down here, but just Texas toast with cheese melted all over it, and then a big side of red meat sauce. You just dip it in there. Basically, just cheese toast with meat sauce. You guys never had that around here?
Cheese toast with meat sauce.
Texas toast, so like big, thick slices of toast,
Sloppy
all
Joes.
buttered. No, not Sloppy Joes. Sloppy Joes is gross. It's totally different.
Yeah, Sloppy Joes.
It's
awesome.
the same thing. It's bread and meat sauce.
With
hamburger.
It's kind of different. But this is a thing we had up at schools. Schools have it all over the place.
That's a northern thing.
I've seen it other places too, but they called it other things. I can't remember what they called it out in Hawaii. They had it in Hawaii too, but they called it something else. But yeah, just big, thick slices of basically garlic bread, garlic cheese bread, just covered in it, and then you just get a side of, red meat sauce, right? And you just dip it in there and go, and it's basically it's just cheese bread.
It's cheese bread.
Yeah, it's basically cheese bread.
It's like what you get at pizza, with
two
the pizza.
sauces.
Yeah,
bread with
exactly.
meat sauce.
Yep, it was like square pizza day at school too,
So
right?
pretty
Everybody had
much-
square pizza at school. You look forward to that too. But when my
So-
mom made it
so
at
you
home, it
had-
was so much better than
Right.
So
school's version of
you
it.
had spaghetti with meat sauce just without the noodles.
Yeah, pretty much with
Okay, cool.
cheesy bread, basically.
Yeah,
if
just
you want to put it that way.
That's all it was.
That's a blue stick thing.
But I get like 6 pieces of cheesy bread and just a big old bowl of meat sauce,
Yeah.
and it was so good. I looked forward to that, and it wasn't something you got all the time.
Right.
Probably because it wasn't that great of a thing to eat for you. It's not like a real meal, but still.
You know the one thing
Good.
besides the chicken parmesan, but the one thing Mom always cooked that I look forward to, Spam with Kraft mac and cheese.
Nope.
Oh, I loved it.
I can honestly say I've never had Spam.
Really? Oh, dude, Spam fried up on the griddle.
You know, they make it
Ooh.
in Minnesota. Comes from Minnesota.
I know.
Is it the
We-
sizzled pork and?
Oh, I thought it was salted
Just talk
parts of
about
animal
Blue
meat.
State stuff. There you go.
Do what, Randy?
You talk about blue state stuff. There you go.
Right. Harmony loves that because in Hawaii, they love Spam in
cheap
Hawaii. They accidentally shipped out there during, I think it was actually World War One is when it started. They accidentally shipped, somebody, misprinted on the order. Instead of getting like 5,000 cans, they shipped like 50,000 cans of Spam to the island. And they're like, well, we're not sending it back. And so they came up with all kinds of crazy dishes.
And they're still using the 50,000
Right, they're probably
cans
still using the
today.
same ones. You go out to I've never seen it. I'd never seen it here, and now I do see it here, but I hadn't seen it on the States before. But out in Hawaii, there's different kinds of Spam. There's regular Spam. There's Spam with jalapeno. There's Spam with olives in it. They had all kinds of different Spam. They did this thing
Spam
called
with cheese.
They call this thing masubi. It's basically like Spam sushi. They'd take rice, put a big old thing of Spam on top, and then wrap it in seaweed. And dude, they love that stuff. You'd find it at every gas station. You'd find it at every grocery store on the hot counter. There'd be masubi. You can get 2 masubis or 4 masubis. Harmony loves that stuff.
See,
I don't like
back
it
to
at
my
all, but she
opinion, like
loves
we're
it.
spoiled.
Good lunches,
I don't
man.
have to eat that.
Right,
There's better options.
right.
Hey,
I don't even have to think about eating that.
but for a quick lunch,
See, I took it camping a lot. That's where I got introduced to Spam was backpacking
Yeah?
because you could bring, you could just get a condensed can of meat and it didn't need to be refrigerated, so you could keep it in your pack
Yeah.
and hike with it.
yeah.
Have Spam out there on the trail.
Just-
Yep. Throw it on the
get
cast
a
iron
rock that's
skillet.
hot, or if
Yep.
you have a cast iron skillet with you.
It's good enough. But yeah, it's
I want Spam.
you'd probably like what they call the loco moco from out in Hawaii. It's a big bed of rice, and then they either throw a chunk of Spam or a burger. That was my favorite way to do it. Just a big old burger patty, and then it depends. You top it like a baked potato if you wanted. Cheese, bacon bits. They'd pour gravy all over it.
That's
That's
what I'm talking
breakfast.
That's what they call loco.
That is breakfast.
That's what I'm talking
Right.
about.
You just ruined a cow in gravy.
Breakfast. What's wrong with rice? Rice is good stuff,
Rice
Randy.
is good stuff.
Not
rice
for breakfast.
Rice is great. That's a good one.
Wow.
Yeah, and I'm not talking like a little plate either. This is like a 2,000 calorie meal when they throw a loco moco down in front of you. It is
You
something
didn't
huge.
eat for the rest of the day.
No, you didn't need to if you didn't want to. That could fuel you up. You wonder why the Hawaiians are the way they look, right? That's what they have for
us
breakfast.
Snag.
us Arizona boys were kind of side of burritos.
Yeah, just basically the same thing, just rolled in a tortilla.
3,000 calorie burrito.
Just rolled it up. Yep. Well, anyway, make decisions.
Yeah, make decisions. We're spoiled.
Not
We're
the-
spoiled.
we went down
Not
the
those,
rabbit.
not those decisions.
Oh, I tell you what makes it hard is when you got to make all your food at home. Man, that has become a difficult thing nowadays.
I imagine.
It is not easy. It is not easy. Although one of the things I have found that does help is to not just ask every night, "What do you want? What do you want?
No,
What do
just
you want?"
make it.
Just make stuff.
Just make it.
Yep. Just
So I
make
tell
something.
Crystal all the time.
Yep.
She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna get the list together for the week of meals." I don't care.
Just make it.
Make it.
Crock
Yep.
pot's become our best friend. Just
Mm-hmm.
turn it on before we go to work.
Yep.
Come home.
I
It's
love
made.
putting like
And now
4
we-
pounds of beef
yeah.
in there because that's like 4 meals for the week.
And now you can't. But when we do that, now we can't be like, oh, we should just order tonight.
Yep. You're like, nope, we got to eat
sorry,
them leftovers.
Food's there. We got to eat it.
Yep. Wendy got me into it because when we were in Hawaii, before she got sick, she was doing all the cooking, and she cooked dinner for us every single night. She'd cook all kinds of meals, just all kinds of great things, and and since there's only the 3 of us, right? Like all meals are designed to be at least for 4 people, so we always had this weird amount of leftovers. It's never enough for the whole family to eat again. So then we started this thing that every single week we'd have to be like, oh, it's leftover buffet
Yeah,
night.
that's what we do.
We just pull out every little bit of
do.
leftover, heat it all up. What do you want? A little bit of steak? Here's a little bit of pasta. Here's a little bit of this.
Leftover night used to be the night before trash day.
Yeah, right. 'cause
Growing
everything else,
up, trash day was on
Yeah.
Friday, so Thursday
Yep.
night was leftover night.
yeah, whatever else you don't eat is going in the garbage.
Until I got to high school football, and then it was pasta night.
Right then, it's pasta night. Yep. Yeah, we still do it every now and again, but less so. Less so.
Leftover night.
Actually gonna make up. I got to decide whether I'm doing the. I gotta either going to do a gyro again style, because I got a lamb leg from Sam's Club. Grilled it up on the grill. Turned out pretty good. Takes a lot of takes a little while, and you got to keep flipping it every 15 minutes. But seasoned it up real good, and then just sliced it thin. Oh man, that was some good eating for days. Oh, Randy, you've never had lamb, so I don't even know why you're shaking your head over there.
It tastes like chicken.
Yeah.
It tastes like beef, is what it tastes like. It's really good.
Yeah, it does.
It's so good.
It's good.
You season it up with that gyro seasoning all over it. Oh man, I was making
Yeah,
that.
lamb's good.
I was chopping it up, cooking it with the potatoes and bacon for breakfast. Oh, that was so good. See, they knew what they were doing in the Bible. They ate lots of lamb back then.
They
It's
did.
so
They
good.
did.
That is a tasty, tasty
I don't
animal.
know
Randy
about
would be a twig
Yeah.
Right. They didn't have no chicken back then.
or French fries and
Be
cheese.
Audi.
The bitter herbs is where it would get me though.
Yeah. Well, done right. I like the
What did
horseradish
you
sauce.
put on the tortilla at the Mexican restaurant on Sunday? Was it French fries and cheese and what?
Steak.
Steak.
French fries, cheese, and steak.
And a tortilla.
That was the meal, so I've
I've heard that's
that
called a
wasn't the meal.
California burrito, actually. I was out in California. They gotta have a California burrito. What's that? Well, they put French fries in it.
Jed
I
got
don't
me
need that.
hooked on that meal, so I'm like, give me a tortilla.
It was everything he likes. You can't say no to that.
I never
Yeah.
I never been to that restaurant over there, and Jed goes, "Hey, I think
Which
you'd
one?
like this," and I said,
one
"Well,
was
let
it?
me see."
About this.
Oh, El Pueblito.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the alambre. You would like the alambre.
No, I like what Jed said.
No. Listen,
It's French fries, cheese, and steak.
the alambre is chicken. Well, you may not because it's got peppers, but it's chicken, peppers, and bacon with
No, don't
with
like it.
white cheese
Anything green, you
melted
can't
on
stand.
top. I know.
I don't like chicken from
Weird.
those places.
Really?
Yep.
You're weird.
Yeah. We said that for years. But you know what I told Jed the other day? I said, well, at least he's a man that knows what he wants.
That
That's
is
right.
true. That is true.
Right.
He's made a
And
decision.
he does not
He has
sway.
made a decision. and he is
And he does
living
not
by
sway
that
from that.
decision.
Listen, boys, my no's are no's, and my yeses are yeses. Give me my dead gum French fries
He is
and
living
tortillas
yep, with that decision.
Yep.
and Diet Coke
Yep. And a Diet
no
Coke.
ice.
and no ice.
That
Don't want it too
counterbalances
cold.
everything.
Don't want it too cold.
Right.
Oh.
Right.
What do you think, Ray?
What else we got here? Anything else good? I think I've covered all the verses. I don't got any other. Randy, you had any other verses you had pulled up? I mean, there's not a ton. They all go to the same one.
Right.
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 Yep.
Nope.
Love your wife.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I got a few quotes. But
This is a tough one to try to figure out too, because what it really actually is telling us too is how to be in mutual submission to each other. Right? That is literally where we're supposed to be. We are supposed to be submitting to each other constantly. Yes, the wife is supposed to be submitting to us, but we are supposed to be the servant to our wife. You cannot be a servant unless you are submitting
Correct.
to them. So it's not about if you can fix to this and get to this, it's not about at all what you want. Your wife should take care of everything you want. You should take care of everything she wants, and then your marriage will be absolutely perfect. Now, I don't think any one of us has figured out how to do that exactly,
No.
but that's how it should be. That's
Still-
how it should be.
still perfect example like Christ to be the perfect servant for anybody.
Yep. I mean, again, when's the last time you washed your wife's feet, or how about just massaged your wife's feet? Right?
I don't do feet.
I don't
Out
either.
of nowhere.
I don't do it.
I don't do feet.
Well, what if she likes it? What if that'd be something that'd be her favorite thing?
I got her
Would
spa
you would,
keeping.
would you
Hey.
think Jesus? Would you think Jesus would say, "Oh, I don't do that"? Just saying.
I did the dishes the other day.
I
That's
do the dishes
washing
every
feet.
day.
Well, not all of us can do that.
I get you. But I'm just saying.
But for some people, that is washing feet.
Right.
Is by doing different things around the house.
Right.
Still sounds like an excuse.
Right. Just. And I'm not trying to call you out on
I
it.
ain't
I'm
touching
just
your
trying to
feet
say
either, Randy.
that
I didn't
if
ask
your
you
wife
to. I
asked
said your
you
wife
to massage
said.
her feet, would you be like, "No, I don't do feet"? Right? Because again, Jesus would never say that.
But
She
she,
would-
don't
she wouldn't ask me 'cause
Yeah,
she
I was gonna
knows I don't do
me, I'm the same way. She
Right.
knows.
She
She
knows
don't
I
ask me.
don't deal with feet, so she
How about
don't
a
ask
back?
me.
How about a back massage?
Yeah, I do
like,
that.
Oh,
Yeah.
well, yeah.
Ask
Yep.
me. Ask me.
When was it?
If she asked for, if Taylor asked to have her feet massaged, I'll just give
This
her my
week,
card and
it
she
was-
goes and gets a pedicure.
Yep.
It hasn't been this week because the air conditioner's been off, and it's don't touch me while it's hot. But I would probably say it's at least 2 or 3 times a week. I would probably massage my wife's feet.
I'm going to say once a week.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
And you guys can give her a call right now if you don't want it, if you don't believe me.
Yep.
So
Yep. I mean, well,
Washing the feet doesn't have to be physical, though.
no, it doesn't have to. It doesn't. But and Wendy's never
'Cause
asked me
the
to
whole
do it.
picture of that is the servant
Correct.
side of it.
Correct.
It had nothing to do with actually washing the feet.
you asked
And
me
I
about
wish
the
people would
the feet.
understand
Okay.
that.
Okay. So you didn't say servants. You said wash your feet. I didn't wash feet.
But I'm
massaging
just
them.
saying that's the
Yeah.
same thing though. What if your favorite meal was steak and your wife hates steak? She says, "I'm never making you steak."
That's fine. I'll eat steak with the boys.
I don't think you're living a Christ-centered life in that sense. I would think you are wrong. I'm going to say that.
For
but
real?
you can stand by it. I think you are wrong. If your wife would love a foot massage and you say, "I am too above that,"
I'm not saying I'm too
I'm
above
not
that.
saying
You're
I'm too
grossed out
above
by it?
that.
I don't like feet.
so
No.
I don't like.
Yeah,
do you
so-
think Jesus
so here-
like dying on the cross? Do you think
here's the
Jesus like dying on the cross?
Wow.
No,
But
no,
he
no.
chose
Just saying.
We're going a way different direction
Yeah, we
right
are.
now.
I get it.
Way different.
Wow.
But sure.
No.
Sure.
Because now, if we want to go back to love with
No.
your wife, right,
Yeah.
and the submission,
Yeah.
and the respect, right. So my wife knows that I don't like feet, right?
Right.
So she respects that, right, and she shows that love, showing that you don't have to touch my feet to show that you love and care about me.
That's
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
Because
And that's a discussion you've had.
We're way different. Yeah.
that's-
with
that's
Christ
different.
dying on the cross, that's way different than me massaging her
Well,
feet.
no, my only point was if she was
So-
asking you to and you said no.
Right.
That's what
I'm
I
not
said.
saying I'm
But she-
above that.
Right.
That's
I'm
what I
not saying I'm
said.
above
Okay.
that.
Right.
But now, if it's something different, right now she likes a back rub, right?
Yep.
I could do that,
Yep.
right? You know, almost anything, and it could go down to anything of going. I take the trash out.
Right.
I clean the house, or I do this, right? It's the same example that you're giving. It's just saying that, hey, I love and care about you, and I'm your servant. And so now, and it's the same respect factor too, saying that if I love steak, right, and she doesn't, and she goes, I'm going to cook you a steak on Friday night because I know how much you love it and how much I love you and see the enjoyment out of you, right? So that's I think that's what I think we got that a little backwards.
Well, all I was saying is if there's something that she's asking that she wants,
Right.
and you're saying I don't like that,
Right.
again, then I think you are missing the point because you should be
Yes.
willing to do anything for her,
Right.
anything she wants.
But she knows.
But if she doesn't ask,
she
I
knows
get
the
it.
boundaries, right? And
Right.
I know the boundaries of her,
Right.
right? So
Yep.
because we can talk about almost anything. They're saying, I want you to do this for me, right?
Right. Yep.
And so if you get into that marriage of that relationship, right, there's certain boundaries that
Yep.
that you don't cross, right?
Right,
And that
right.
knowing that she don't want to do that, or I don't want to do this, right? And we have that respect.
Yep. And
So-
I get you. I get you. 'Cause
Yeah.
there are things where you do need to respect your wife in that way.
Yeah.
Like one of the things early on, I don't know why, I've always done it. It's one of the things I always do. I love just scaring people. I love just knowing somebody's coming. They don't know I'm coming. I'm
Yeah,
just
I
like,
do it
boo!
all- I do it
and
all the
just
time.
scare the bejesus out of them. And I do it to Harmony all the time.
Yeah.
And she tries to do it to me, and she's terrible at it. She can't do it.
Cause she's laughing.
Yeah, or she's moving or breathing too much or whatever. But Wendy, early on, she's like, I don't want you to ever do that. Don't do that to me ever again. I said, okay. And I have not.
Right.
I have not once
Right.
jumped. I don't. 'Cause
That's
she
that
asked
respect
me
that you're
not
showing,
to.
that love, right?
Right. Right. But if, again, that isn't going a different direction.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to make with my point there was that you should be willing to do anything she asks. If she asks, you should be willing to do it. Right. I mean, and to a point, right?
Yeah,
If she
to a
says,
point,
I want
to
you
a
to go
point.
get me the hobo's heart. That's a different thing.
right.
I'd first be
Yeah.
like, well, okay, first explain why.
I want you to go buy me a brand new Mercedes. Well,
Well, yeah.
we only drive Fords in this family. So.
That's the only thing holding him back.
Yeah.
Right. Brand new Ford truck. You'd be like, ooh, let's go pick one out.
That's why I don't rub the feet. They're wore out.
That's funny, transmission guy.
Yeah. It was down for a few days. It was already gone.
Already back. Let's see here. We got anything else on here that I made notes about? All right, couple practical tips. Right. I think one of the things that we miss a ton is we pray at meals together, or we don't pray other times together.
You're right.
We don't pray together in the morning. We don't pray together at night. We don't pray together during difficult things or whatever it might be, right? I mean,
Yeah, I like that.
yeah. I say prayers all the time, and she's right next to me. I don't know why I don't just say them out loud.
Right.
And I've actually started to do that more. I've started to intentionally do that more. Like when she's like, oh, I'm in such pain right now. And I'm just like, all right, let's pray. Or like, oh, this is such a tough day. Let me pray for you real quick. Let's pray together real fast. And definitely had a shift. That's been a change that's been huge. We all know regular date nights are important, right? That is impossible to do nowadays. I swear it is. It is so tough to do. And I don't think it necessarily has to not include the children. But I think if you set the intention to say, this is a date, we're going out, you're coming with, because we don't have someone else to watch you or whatever it is. But just so you know, tonight is not about you.
Right.
Tonight's about us. We're going to be, you're coming with us. The other big one that is one I can't do, but my wife helps push me to do, is serving together. And I've seen some of you guys are doing this in different ways, and that is, I think, one of the most important things to do, is to not only involve her in the service that you're doing, but get involved in the service that she is doing. Help her with her service. Whatever it is she feels is what she can do to the Lord, assist with that.
Yep.
And then also, hopefully, she will then assist you with whatever you feel your service is to the Lord. And again, I've seen that exemplified in the men of this group and in some of the other families in the church too, which I think is an incredibly important way, as Daniel was saying, to grow closer together to God at the same time and stay close with each other. So those are three other things that I think are areas that I'm even working on, right? So like even when I was doing the Bible study stuff for the men's Bible study, I would often go over it with Wendy before I came, just to see if it was off base on something, or if something didn't make sense, or if she had a different thought, or maybe another Bible verse that I hadn't thought of, or whatever. I didn't always have the time to do it, but usually it would be in that Sunday, between Sunday morning service and between Sunday night when I was doing men's Bible study. Be right after lunch. I'd be like, all right, I'm going to be getting my notes together, and I'm just going to be sitting there with her, just rattling off. It's like, okay, so we're going over this, and this is what I'm talking about, and this is that, and this is what this questions I have, and we would go over it together. That was how she was helping me with my service, right? It's just being my sounding board and being my helpmate, what she's supposed to be in all of that. So, and I'm hoping she'll be able to still help out with some of the American Heritage Girls and Trail Life stuff that we're getting into here, and just helping me with, again, she can't physically do the stuff, but she can help with the just listening to me, and just making sure I'm staying on target. So those would be three really things I think would be important. I don't know if anybody else has anything else that they would think is important too, to help, again, just make sure you're keeping God at the center.
That's the number one key right there, man.
Well, Randy, you got any quotes?
Well, yeah.
I am the quote guy.
I was sleeping. Sorry.
It's all right.
That's rude.
Yeah. Well, honesty in marriage is like breathing. It is absolutely essential for life.
Right.
The noblest task a man can do are serving God and serving his wife. Any thoughts on that one?
We touched on that a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
All right. Imagine a man so focused on God that the only reason he looked up to see you is because he heard God saying, "That's her."
Dang,
Right.
I knew my wife was an angel.
Yep.
A man doesn't own his marriage. He is only the steward of his wife's love.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
That is a great way to put it, because again, she's a gift from God.
Yep.
We don't own her in any way. God does.
Yes.
And we are given the gift of one of God's daughters to watch over and protect. And that's definitely one of the things I pray for constantly, is God give me strength and courage to protect my family,
Absolutely.
whatever that means.
And your marriage is the gospel you are preaching to your children.
Yeah, I mean, you're leading by example, right? Our kids are watching us constantly. So what we're doing in our family why it's going to do in his family,
Mm-hmm.
in his marriage. He's going to see how I treat his mom.
Yep.
Right? And that's how he's going to treat his wife. And so as us men, we have to be that example because they're going to follow what we do.
Right. And it's very important to have that united front that, and it's difficult to do too because kids know how to play you off each other.
Mm-hmm.
Kids know that,
yes, they do.
Well, mom said no, but let me go ask dad real quick.
Yep. Autumn used to do that all the time. He's like, Dad, what's changed? Why you say no? Because your mom said no.
Yep. Didn't take me
and
long
we have
to learn
do that.
to ask,
I mean, you
what's your
have to
mom
be
say?
on the same team,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
When you have something like that happens, and we've said this early on in our marriage when we had Autumn, I said, I have your back and you have mine, right? If you say no, I'm going to say no. And we have to have that balance in our marriage.
Mm-hmm.
We cannot go, well, Dad said yes, and I'm sorry, Mom, I know you said no. No. That's not going to happen. You're going to build a conflict in that marriage and in between your kids all the time.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
So you have to be on the same page.
Yep. That's why the first words you got to learn is, did you already ask your mother?
Yep. That's what I do. What'd your mom say?
Yeah,
What'd your mom say?
Yep.
No, I don't know. I'm going to go ask her.
Then I better go talk to her then real quick. Find out.
Yep.
Actually, you already know that's a no.
Or they do this. Well, they said go ask your dad. Really?
Then it's no.
Let me see.
Yep.
Then you go, yes. Well, why'd you say yes? Because you said they go ask me.
Yep. Yep.
That's very important.
It is. It is.
So my last one here says it takes 2 to get married, but 3 to stay married. Always keep God in your marriage at the center.
Yep.
Yep. Because even Christian marriages are failing at close to the same rate
They
that
are.
worldly marriages are right now.
Yep.
And I think that's because there's a lot of people who aren't true. I don't know. I want to say not saved, but they are not good Christians. There's too many Christians who don't read their Bible. There's too many Christians who don't understand their Bible, and you can just hear that by talking to them or listening to them.
They follow the world.
Yeah,
The world pleasures.
They compromise way too much, and we see it. And I even was one of those people when I was younger, back in the '90s, when you kept hearing all the Christians saying this is just going to lead to this, right? This, and I'm. Again, God is sovereign over all this stuff. But when they were saying that, if you approve gay marriage, it's just going to lead to them teaching it in school, and they were all like, "No, it won't." And now look at us 20 years later.
Yeah.
And they were right.
We had the most confused society.
Yeah. Which again, there's this book here that does happen to talk about that. If you read it towards the end there, it starts to tell
It's
you
coming.
It's coming.
It's coming.
Yep, that's the only thing we can say is the positive to it. Is each step closer to that chaos is just that just means Jesus is going to be coming back soon.
Yep.
Because it is to say that what is good is counted as bad and what is bad is counted as good really does seem to be what's going on right
Can you imagine if we get to be involved in that?
now. I mean, we will be one way or another, but
mean,
I know what
awesome.
you mean. I know what you mean. And I know every generation thinks they're the generation, but it just it doesn't seem like it's it sure does seem like it's getting closer and closer.
Yep.
So, well, anybody else got any
Is that
final
it,
thoughts?
Rand Dizzle?
That's all I got.
All right.
All right. Just safeguard your marriage because the world is out to attack it right
They
now.
are.
The world is out to destroy it. There's even so much messaging online that if you're not careful, that is just divisive, just completely trying to make it seem like this is positive stuff for women, this is positive stuff for men, but it's all just dividing them apart. And
My wife, she got off of all social media.
yeah, because it's just
Too much negativity. She's like, I don't have time for this.
Yep.
So she don't have any social media now.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, I love it. But that's the only downside is that everything's communicated through that.
Yep. No, it's so true. Yeah, we have no idea what's going on with any members of our family or extended family or nothing because all they ever do is post it on social media. Nobody calls each other anymore or talks to each other anymore. Like, oh, didn't you see so-and-so got married? We posted on Facebook. Nope, no clue. No, we're not on there. I go on Facebook to post this podcast, and that's it. That's literally it.
it's bad that we can't even just pick up the phone. You know me, I don't even like the phone. I like to just talk to you guys face to face if I can. That's bad. We can't even do that anymore. We can't even just come hunt you guys down and talk to you if we need to. And I granted, states away,
Yeah.
but
yeah.
locally we can't even just come find you. Most of the time, it's. Did you see it on Facebook? Did you find it over here? That's a terrible thing.
Well, and it's because we used to make our communities in our neighborhoods. Our communities used to be your neighbors, and now we're so mobile, right? I mean, Jed, you live like 45 minutes away from my house, right? You live 30 minutes away from me. Daniel, you're close, but you're still like 25 minutes away because Bella Vista's a nightmare to drive through. Randy's probably the closest one, and he's still 10 or 15 minutes away. So it's not like if I got an issue, I can't just pop over the fence and say, hey, Randy, I got to talk to you for a minute. Mm-hmm. It'd be like, well, I got to be gone for minimum 30 minutes just to drive there and back. And, that's what we are missing. It used to just be like, well, I'm going to go over to the neighbor and talk to him.
Yep.
And I think that's definitely something I wish I could figure out how to get back. Because I've trying to make friends with my neighbors on a couple different sides, try to talk to them. Unfortunately, none of them are really strong Christians. So as soon as I'm like, hey, come to church, come talk to this, come to Bible study. I mean, that's all I really want to talk about with them is God most of the time. And they just, you find they're like, they just wave and run inside the garage real quick when they see you coming. Anyway.
Yeah.
That is a difficulty. That is a difficulty. And I agree with you. I hate talking on the phone. It's not the same. I don't know what's wrong, but it just doesn't have the same feel. Something's wrong with it. But, I don't know. I think we could definitely revisit this subject another day, but I think we've talked about it enough for one day.
Yep.
Hopefully we got something in there that helps somebody and something that helps us.
Yeah.
Anybody feel led to close us in prayer tonight?
Will you look at me, Randy? I'll do it. Dear Lord, just thank you for today, and just thank you for having us men together, and Lord, that we just listen to you, guide us, and just say what you put on our hearts, Lord, and I just pray that men now will just follow you, Lord, and just get closer to you, and realize that you are the answer to the marriage, Lord. And just please watch over us this week, and let us have a good weekend. In your name, amen.
Amen. Thank you for listening to Spiritual Debriefing, a podcast supported by First Baptist Church Hiwassee. Please like and subscribe to the podcast so you can be notified when we post new episodes, as well as check out our past episodes. We'll be posting new podcasts every other Thursday. You can follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. If you have questions you'd like us to answer, comments, or feedback on the podcast, please contact us through our social media or email us at dmeadows@fbchiwassee.com. Thank you, and we hope God blesses your day.